everyone, welcome back to Gardening with the Landscape Connection. I am Michelle in Northern Illinois Zone 5 and we are doing a front yard refresh. We're on day 2. Yesterday we spent the day ripping out all the landscaping, taking out the stoop and the step. I made a trip to the nursery to pick up some things, and today we are going to be putting it all back together again. So if this is something that you're thinking about doing, that front yard refresh or recharge or redoing your front yard, hopefully this will inspire you with some ideas. Now, what we are doing today is we're building a new stoop and step. We're putting in the landscaping, and then along the side of the house, we'll be putting in some paver edgers. We'll be lining that area with fabric and putting rock down. We're not planting anything there, but it's certainly going to clean it up and make it look nice and tidy. So we're doing that as well. Now, remember, when you're doing a new landscaping in the front, it might look naked when you pull everything out because you're used to these big overgrown things, and when you put everything back in, everything is smaller and it takes time to grow. So be patient with your landscaping and give things room to grow. That's the number one mistake that I see out there. I am always pulling things out that are all on top of each other because we don't think about the size the plant's going to get at the end of the day. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started, and you guys can come along with me. All right, let's go. All right, this is where the new stoop and step are going to be. We are doing it with wall brick and paver stones. We're using a product by Unilock, and so we'll be using some beautiful material. And when that gets here, because my guy is actually going to get it right now, we'll show you that. But let's just take a look at the measurements, and what I've done is a rough draw out of what's going to happen. So it's going to have an L-shaped step right here and here, and then this inner square is going to be the stoop that's going to go all the way up to the threshold up here. So it is going to be 10 feet long this way and 5 feet this way. Then we're going to have a step that steps down, and it will be 14 inches. So that's what the stoop and the step are going to look like. And then we're going to do all the landscaping up through here. So what I'm going to do now is place all the landscaping. All right, I do have some things in place for the guys to go ahead and plant. And as you can see, I think this is a good practice, is I have taken and drawn a circle around each of my plants to show the full size that it's going to get. So 1, it's not on the house. So see, I've got room right here between the house. 2, they're going to touch, and you can make them overlap a little bit, but I want them to be able to grow to their full size without like totally taking each other out. So I've done that around a lot of the plants, so that you can see how big they get. See, we have our Francis William that are going to arc here in front of our maple. And one of the things that I did, and I know if I step out, I will totally have a sun glare. And I'll show you this after we get everything planted. But see how you have this big expansive wall right here? So what we did was we centered this on the wall. So we put our big pieces in first, see, and then I worked the other pieces around it. So I centered this hosta out from the Japanese maple, and then I spaced them accordingly. I did the same thing down here with the blue globe spruce. How big is this going to get full size? And this is what I mean by, look at how much space there is in this bed. And this thing was a big solid wall of yews, and now you have to get used to that. But see, I don't have it up on the house. There's what I call a little catwalk back here, so you have airflow. This is as big as this is going to get. All right, my favorite edgers are the Belgium edgers. This time we're doing a tan edger. We have gravel along the edge here that we are going to compact in, and then we will butt these up end to end and go all the way over to the corner of the house and then jog them over because we don't want the mulch to fall into the rock. We're going to lay some really nice thick landscape fabric down here, and then this is going to get rock. And that's it. That's all we're doing in this area, but it's going to make it have this nice, clean, tidy look. All right, we made it to the nursery and we have our 2 trees. Aren't these gorgeous? I just love these. So this one is our weeping white spruce right here. This one is going to be going to Candy's house. And when it gets in the ground, it's probably about 6 feet. It's got a pretty good size ball and burlap on it. The other one is the weeping Norway spruce, which we're taking over to the church. They had a tree that died, and we're going to just pop this one in the ground for them. And I love the cones on these. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Just look at those. I love that green color on there. Absolutely beautiful. I'm gonna help them guide it. All right, got it in. All right, 2 trees. All right, there's my 2 trees, my little root balls. We are ready to go plant them. Okay, we got our hole dug for our weeping white spruce. We're gonna take this cage off of it though, so the guys are gonna wiggle it off of there right now. And it's easy to get off because they just literally put it on. So we are going to just peel the burlap back because I want to keep the root ball intact, and we're going to drop it down in the hole. Now remember, plant them high, they'll grow to the sky. Plant them low, they won't grow. So you do want to make sure that you're not taking the flare of your trunk and putting it deeper than it is in this ball and burlap. Then we just got to straighten it out. All right, and then we check it from 2 sides to make sure that it's straight. And then when you're backfilling, you want to make sure that you backfill it in, tamp it in, make sure you got good root to soil contact. Oh. I was holding the camera instead of the shovel. All right, so he's tamping it in with his foot. Making sure that I'm going to pull this out now. All right. There's a big hole there. Make sure you fill it. All right, and then you want to make sure that, see, there's my root flare. And then you want the water to drain away, so you want to plant it high. This guy's pretty root bound. You can see all the roots here. We had to actually take the shovel and break the plastic off. So what I always do is I like to break into some of these roots a little bit. And I just take my shovel and then I spin it around. And I just kind of break into those roots a little bit just to free them up, because they are really root bound in there. And then see on the bottom how you got that big mass down there? I'm going to loosen those up. See how we broke those up? I just had Noelle hold it while I took the shovel and I just kind of cut into it a little bit, and then we broke them open. And now we're going to plant it. All right, there we go. I'm going to groom up the bottom a little bit after we get everything planted. But there you go. Just get it in the ground. Make sure you push that soil in. Okay, so we did get pretty much everything planted in the ground, but we are getting rained out. It's been raining on and off, and now it's starting to thunder and lightning. So what we're going to do, you can't glue brick when it's wet. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to rake out the area, make sure it's nice and smooth and ready. We're going to finish putting in the rock over here. Right now they are laying the liner. We'll get the rock in, clean up for the day, and we'll come back tomorrow morning and start fresh. All right, so we got the edgers in, they got the fabric down, and we're using a pretty thick fabric because we don't want the rock to work its way into the ground. That's why I use fabric. The other thing is we are not planting anything here. We are just going to lay this bee stone. And so this is a river rock. It's anywhere from 1/4 inch to 3/4 inch, and it's dirty right now, but it actually is kind of this tan color. It's got some blues and blacks in it. It's not the prettiest thing in the world, but it's not butt ugly either. A little bit of fog this morning. Back at Candy's house, the guys are behind me on the trucks. I thought I'd get a jump on them, come over and just take a look at what they actually finished yesterday. I left before they were 100% done, but they did get the rock done on the side. They got everything planted, and they got the bottom layer of the stoop put in, which is the most important layer. Once you get that in and everything's level, building up from there is really super easy because you've already leveled it in. So hopefully today we'll get all the way done. I don't know, that stoop and step is pretty big, so maybe today and a little bit of tomorrow morning, but either way, I'm going to take you along and show you everything that we get done, and we'll go from there. All right, so let's go. Okay, let's start right here, and you can see we have our mahogany monsters here, and we do have flagstone that's going to lead us up to the stoop, and they're bringing that in the truck right now. And then if we come around this way, you can see our little wee white hydrangeas. We have 3 of them here, and then 3 more of the mahogany monster coral bells, 2 of the Miss America there, and then I'll dig holes for the pots of the other Miss Americas and get them in the ground so that we know where they go. And then we've got our 3 Korean boxwoods right here. We have our Francis William hostas that are arcing around our beautiful Japanese maple. We have our blue globe spruce down here, our 3 piglet grasses, and then here we have our weeping white spruce surrounded by our 3 Elsie's gold sedum. And so it's a big difference from that big old overgrown hedge of yews. And see what I said when I said everything might be naked looking? Well, it is, but it's got to grow. Over here turned out really good. It's just nice and clean, and I love this nice clean look over here. We've got the edgers here, and we put them here as well so that this rock doesn't mix with the mulch that we're going to put in. These are the Belgium edgers, and we just put them in butt to butt. We made a string line from the corner of the house out as far as we wanted it to go on both corners, and then we ran a string all the way down to make sure that we put everything in straight, and then we filled this in with the bee stone. So just a nice clean look here. They did a good job there. That looks good. Okay, so we got the bottom part of the stoop put in, and as you can see, the guys are already starting to glue the second row, and it's gonna go super fast. When we put the bricks in, we are gonna stagger the joints so that they go in between, and that way it looks like this nice stacked wall. Okay, so while the guys are unloading bricks, let's give you a little bit of education on the process of how you build this. So basically what you do is you're gonna level in the bottom row. The bottom row is as big as the whole structure as a whole is gonna be. So this includes the step and everything. So basically what they've done is they've measured out as big as the whole thing is, then they build the bottom row, and then they build up from there. So this is actually the step right here, and then they'll build another row once the step is in to bring it up, like your step up to the stoop. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just give you a little bit of education on brick, because there are so many different kinds of bricks out there. And I guess for me, when I was a contractor out there, my job was to give the information to the people that were having me create a design or put a hardscape in. And it wasn't my job to tell people how to spend their money. It was my job to be credible, honest, and then give them all the information so that they could make their own decision. And so I use a Unilock product, and Unilock is this company right here, and it's been around since like 1972, and I don't know if it's popular everywhere in the United States. I do know that it's really popular in the Midwest. We have a factory that actually bakes the brick in Aurora, which is near Chicago. So there's a lot of Unilock dealers around here, and Unilock is a really popular product here. So I love building with Unilock product. For me, when you're doing a hardscape and you make the decision to use pavers, I think that you have to have information so that you can make the best decision possible. Not everybody has the budget to do pavers, because pavers is the most expensive solution out there, but it's also the one that's probably going to stand the test of time, because if there are issues, you can unlock the pavers. Now, the next, I think, budget one that you would do would be concrete instead. And they did have the option to do like a stamped colored concrete, and they opted to invest in their home and do the pavers instead. And that's what pavers are. They are an investment in your home. So if you're looking for like that really quick fix because you want to sell your house, maybe you're going to buy your brick at a box store versus like a Unilock product that you're going to buy from a contractor or a company that actually sells like this kind of a brick. Belgard is another one that's out there that's a really good quality brick. I see that one, I think, a little bit more out west than I do here in the Midwest, but I see it here and there being laid. So for me, I want to use a good quality brick because I want it to stand the test of time. And that adage is true. You get what you pay for. And I think that Unilock has a better quality product. They have a lot of different finishes on their brick. They bake that color into the top part of their brick, so even if it chips, the underlying color is still the same. There's a lot of aggregate, which is like all the little rocks and stuff that they use to put in the brick to bake it. And so therefore it's this very strong concrete with a really high PSI. And it's going to last forever and ever and ever. Now, I have built lots of things with brick from box stores because it's what your budget can afford. But just know, those probably have a higher clay content. They probably crumble a little bit easier. They're just not as high of a quality as like the Unilock brick. And that's okay if that's what your budget allots. Or if your project is just one where maybe you're just doing some improvements around the house and you're not living there very long, or you're getting ready to sell it. Maybe that's why you're doing something like that, or maybe that's what your budget allows, and you have to do what's right for you and what your budget allows. And I like Unilock, so I use it. The other thing I like about Unilock are these books that they put out every single year. They are like idea inspiration books to give you ideas for what to do at your home. And I just love these books. They come out with a new one every single year. And the projects that are in the book are actually contractors who put them in and then sent their pictures to Unilock. And then Unilock goes through all the pictures. And if you're a certified Unilock installer, then they use the pictures in their book. But I love these because they're so inspirational. Also, you can go to their website, which I believe is www.unilock.com. All kinds of great galleries there to look at. You can look at the patterns for the different bricks, and they actually have calculators on there too that will help you figure out how much brick you need to do a project. So nice and handy. Those tools are all out there for you as a homeowner to use. So let me give you the 2-minute crash course on the product that we're going to be using. I love this first product that I'm going to talk about. It is a Brussels dimensional wall. Every brick is 12 by 4 by 8, and they're all the same. And they do sell wedges so that if I want to go around the corner, I can. So this is a wall brick, and see, they're pretty heavy. Oh, but this is what the brick looks like. See, and I can turn it on its side, but this is the size and the brick that I'm going to be using to build the stoop. I like this brick because universally all the bricks are the same size, and if I want to lay the brick down like this, I can, like I'm doing over here. If I'm making a bigger wall and I want to stand it up and make a pattern in the wall, I can do that too. Also, because this is a smooth brick, it doesn't have any grooves or edges or locking pieces to it, I can build this wall and not have to put a cap on it. Now, this isn't going to be for walls that are engineered and they're really high. I would say 2.5 feet, maybe 3 is about as high as you want to go with a brick like this. We glue them together as we go, and I use them a lot to make like little seat walls, to make like maybe edging walls, or a little wall to go underneath a patio to elevate it, or to make stoops and steps. So for me, this is great. We're using a sandstone color, and so Unilock Brussels dimensional wall, very heavy. Okay, so the next product that we're going to use, and we're going to use this on the top of the stoop as the edge, and we're also going to use it for our step tread. As you step down, we're going to be using this full nose coping. So this is 12 inches long. I'm using a sandstone color, which is the same color as the brick that we're using to build the walls or the frame. And this is 2 3/4 inches thick. Now you'll see here, there's a groove side, and then here is a flat side. Make sure that when you're putting these in, that this is the outside edge, not this. This is the inside edge. All right, so the last one that goes on, I want to make sure this is what's showing. The other thing is, see, these are only 12 inches long, and what I want to do is I want to make my step tread taller or longer than 12 inches. So I will be adding this half stone here, see, and it's also 2 3/4 inches behind it to make this, let's see, this is 3 3/4, I believe. So 12, 13, 14, 15 3/4 inches is what the step tread's going to be, and it makes it more comfortable to go up and down the steps. So men's feet are bigger than women's feet, so the men really appreciate this. And then we need to have a paver brick that we're going to put on the top of the stoop when we're all done building the frame and the wall and the step. We need to have brick that we're going to put on top. So after the guys compact in the gravel in the frame that we build, they'll compact that in 2-inch lifts. Then we'll screed in just a 1/2 inch of sand. We're going to put pavers on top of that. So these are the same width as the bullnose, because those are going to go on the edge. And we're going to use what's called a half stone. They have a standard size and an extra large size. So we're going to use a tumbled brick. And it basically makes it look like it's old and it's worn. Think about taking the bricks and throwing them in the dryer and tumbling them around, and they have like little nicks and chips in them, and that's what gives them their character. Then when that's all done, we'll use that polymeric sand over the top, brush it in all the joints, get it wet, and then adhere that whole thing together. These are the 3 size pavers that we're going to use to create our pattern, which will be the top stoop area. We have an extra large, a standard, and a half stone. So when you use Brussels pavers from Unilock, they have these 3 sizes available, and then you can create, I want to say there's like 15 different patterns that you can do with these 3 bricks. See how I turn my camera more to a 45-degree angle? That is how we're going to lay the brick on the stoop, in a 45-degree angle. Then we're going to do what's called a sailored course around the whole thing, kind of outlining all the brick to give it that nice finished edge. And after it's laid, I'll explain why we do that. One of the other things that we do as we're building the wall up is we always lay landscape fabric right here in between the wall and the gravel. And the reason we do this is because we don't want the fines from the gravel to come out the other side of the wall, and this keeps everything inside. So we got the step in, and this is what I mean when you sail or the back edge. So when you put your foot on here, instead of just having 12 inches to stand on right here, you've got 15 inches, and it just makes it a nicer step. All right, so we miter the corners going around the corner because it just looks better. It's nice and professional looking versus button them up end to end. But you could always button them up end to end if that's what you wanted to do. We just cut them because it looks better. Okay, so they got the front stoop laid, and you can see it's at a 45-degree angle, and you're wondering, well, it doesn't look finished to me, but that's because we have to cut the brick. And why do we cut the brick? Well, one, we want this edge here to match this edge here, so we are going to do a sailored edge all the way around, and that's what this line is. And the line, he'll take the chop saw and he'll cut it out. Now, we do the sailored edge because after he cuts this, there's going to be this little bitty slug left, and we don't want that little slug in there. That's just this little bitty piece. We need to have this piece there so that it gives it a nice finished edge. Okay, we finished the patio. Everything's done. I need it to set overnight though, because the glue is drying on the corners that we mitered, and so I can't sand it until the morning. But for the most part, it is done. I think it turned out really nice. Oh, I just am so happy with how this looks. And then we did put the flagstone in. When you get out of your car, you've got the flagstone that will lead you up to the stoop and the step. Okay, so it is all finished. I am so happy with how this turned out. Are you guys happy? Yeah. Okay, they're happy too. So everything has room to grow. She has room if she wants to add some annuals or some pots. We will come back tomorrow morning and sand the stoop and the step because it needs to set overnight so that the glue dries before we sand it and get it wet. So that is a wrap for this front yard refresh. Okay, you guys, so don't be afraid to rip out your old ugly landscaping and refresh it with some new stuff that you love. I'm Michelle. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye, everybody.